A Brush with Fate, Chapter 5, Candied Hearts. Luna stared at the letter on her desk, her previous jovial mood having long since evaporated. Between the play and this message, the emotional 1-2 punch was too great for her to deal with, behind a mask of normalcy.
I knew this would be coming. Such a childish thing. If I didn't think about it, maybe it wouldn't ever happen. Perhaps I'll let Steele know. I'm going to be a wreck tonight, so it's only right.
A customary double knock on the door heralded that option, Luna taking a slow breath as she continued to remain flopped on a pile of cushions.
Come in.
Her assistant guard trotting in, the stallion's ears immediately perked up in apparent concern, the pony walking a bit closer. "Is everything alright, Luna?" Steele asked. Luna didn't immediately reply. The alicorn not entirely sure what to say. The fact that Steele's concerned tone made the princess's heart flutter only added to the whirlpool of emotion in her heart.
No, Steele. No, it really isn't,
Luna finally said.
I've been ignoring a looming issue. One of a few, actually. Pushing it off until it has threatened to crush me under its weight.
Her loyal assistant simply sat down near her, listening attentively as the princess continued.
I feel like a foal hiding under the covers from a monster. As long as I didn't think about it too much, see it, acknowledge it, the issue didn't exist.
Her magic faltering under a surge of emotion, Luna levitated the letter over to Steele in a shaky grasp, the stallion carefully reading the title. Remembrance services for cream and peanut whip will be held on. Steele's voice trailed off, the guard not saying anything immediately. I'm sorry, Luna, he began, clearly thinking each word through before speaking. May I ask who? Luna nodded, sitting upright as her eyes watered. Fighting back the tears and sniffles, she took a picture out from a drawer and showed it to Steele. An off-white mare and light brown stallion were waving at the viewer, matching tie-dye manes, clearly a silly addition to their fashion.
They were my friends. One of the first two I ever made back here in Canterlot years ago,
Luna whispered, looking at the picture with a shivering smile.
They were like you, and a few other ponies. Not groveling in my presence, but just treating me as me. They ran a bakery shop, and we just got talking there when I was browsing their goods. We had weekly lunches, sometimes more, and Cream had married that goofball a year or two before my return,
she remarked, reminiscing as Steele listened.
Some of my first friends, other than Twilight and the Elements, to not hold my past against me. They didn't even seem to care about the Nightmare Moon incident. Steele, I finally asked them why they weren't frightened or treating me differently, for I could not understand it.
Luna then let out a soft laugh, wiping her eyes.
I'll never forget Cream's response. She just looked at me with a raised eyebrow and gestured to her husband. Highness, my husband cooked a peanut brittle wrong, and we had to replace half of the kitchen appliances. We all make mistakes, big or small. Why should I hold your mistake against you? My husband against him? Life's too short for that.
Steele couldn't resist a smile. She sounded like quite a firecracker of a mare.
I nearly broke down in tears at that. No pony has been so kindly blunt to me up unto that point. So we had lunches, even as their bakery grew and flourished, until 3 months ago.
Luna angrily slammed a hoof against the floor, causing the stone to crack.
A fluke. A complete and utter twist of fate. Going into the cliffs for some special ingredients on one of their adventurous dates.
Her voice now dropped to a whisper, Luna's tone shaking.
And being in the wrong place, in the wrong time. A rock slide tore off part of the cliff face. And that was that.
Luna looked up and saw Steele's own guard mask cracking. A barely contained wince. A clenched jaw.
I barely made it through the funeral. These remembrance services are a happy affair. To celebrate their life. I just...
She looked up, watery gaze meeting the empathetic green eyes that stared at her.
Steele, if I may be painfully blunt, how did you do it?
She asked.
Death is a part of life, but the suddenness, the realization that it's such a fragile thing. How do you get past that? I thought I knew how to handle these things.
Luna's voice cracked, a few tears dripping from her eyes.
I've lost friends before the Nightmare Moon incident. I've conducted services, come to terms with it, but nothing like this. This is so different somehow. They're gone, and I'm still here. I'll always be here. I'll always be dealing with...
The sobs now came in earnest, as Steele scooted forwards, the guard taking a bit of initiative and wrapping his arms around Luna's torso. He said 2 words, voice a bit gruffer than usual, as emotion stopped any smoothness. You're scared. Luna hugged the guard tightly, nodding ever so slightly as her limbs and barrel shivered, the Princess of the Night fully leaning into his embrace. After a minute or two, she had calmed down enough to pull back slightly, seeing Steele still struggling to rein in his own feelings. So, you asked how did I get past it? He asked, taking a deep breath to calm himself. The fear? The realization of how delicate life is? I had plenty of time to think that in the hospital, when I lay awake at night. The guard's brow furrowed, Steele clearly trying to put thoughts into words. I was scared. So scared. I was so pumped, full of painkillers, I wasn't distracted by much pain. All I could do was think. 12 ponies gone, and I remained. Guilt over who I couldn't save. Why I lived, and others died. Steele explained. My situation was a bit different, but how I got past it all? Not alone. That's for sure. Support groups, pushing myself into a purpose. Such events can destroy you or push you forwards. I wanted to be happy, to find out what else I could do to help others. That is how I got through it. I didn't ignore it all or push it away. I faced it head on. He paused. Although some lessons can burn you a bit before it sticks. Luna stared at him, in shock at the lighthearted joke, Steele shrugging. Like that. You can run, hide, or ignore a tragedy. Or you can face it head on and keep going forwards. Life is worth more than one single event. And Luna? He asked, tone now a bit cautious. I don't know your friends, but do you think that they'd want you to only remember this part of their life? Shaking her head, Luna couldn't keep a soft smile off her face at the thought of being berated by Cream at the idea.
No. No, I don't think that they would. She most certainly wouldn't. I suppose it's not losing them that is the entire issue, but I couldn't think about that until I processed their passing.
Luna admitted, now only realizing that she had, at some point, snagged Steele's hoof and was holding it rather tightly. She reluctantly let him go, rubbing a forehoof against the other in slight embarrassment, then wiping away her tears.
Thank you again, Steele. You're quite a good listener.
And a comfy shoulder, apparently, he added, apparently enjoying the blush that came over Luna's face at that.
Well, I suppose I best get this form off.
Luna managed to say, levitating a scroll over to the rather smug, but happy guard.
It's the supply order again. They mixed up 3 separate items, like last time. Please have them double-check.
Steele nodded, promptly trotting out of the room and leaving Luna to tidy up her desk. Instead of placing the picture back inside her drawer, she left it upright and to the side.
Of course you'd throw a bread loaf at me for all this cream. Oh, you'd probably be the one who smacked me with a hairbrush. Well, no more avoiding things.
Luna mused, going to a separate desk to address a familiar pile of papers.
Ugh, I'd rather much burn these.
The time stretched and spread on. Her previous sorrow forgotten under the warm memories of a spunky mare who would have most certainly not wanted the princess to mope. As she continued to fill out a particularly long financial request, Luna found herself staring rather wistfully, off into nowhere. A smile on her face as a certain comfy shoulder comments floated through her mind.
Speaking of avoiding things...
That was an easy thing, in theory, to address, but how in the world do you bring up something like that?
Bluntly? I think he'd appreciate that. It's nothing serious. A mere possibility. I do enjoy his company quite a bit, and I'd like to see how things go outside of a professional aspect. Well, less professional than it already is, which... Well, not very at this point. It's still a step, and all I can do is ask.
Luna found the forms were quickly pushed to the side, the alicorn biting her lip in thought.
What do I say? How do I say anything related to it?
Moving from the desk back to her pile of pillows, Luna hugged a larger one between her hooves, frowning as her wings slumped.
I've officiated hundreds of negotiations between ponies and creatures abroad. Surely I can voice my interest of a stallion in a cohesive way. Hopefully.
The fact that Steele continually brought a smile to Luna's face indicated that at least she was going in the right direction.
Well, at least that is figured out.
A decent stack of necessary but obnoxious papers later, the princess heard some hoofsteps and a familiar knock.
Steele? That was fast.
She remarked, walking over as the stallion returned with a few filled-out supply orders. They were faster than normal, thankfully. That place gets a bit hectic, he replied, eyes narrowing as Luna shifted on her hooves. Is everything okay? Luna began, then let her head slump with a sigh.
This is a lot harder than I thought,
she whispered, cheeks immediately reddening as the words were spoken a bit louder than she intended. I'm not really following. Luna let out a huff, nodding once as she looked at the perplexed guard.
Yes, just... I was wondering if you'd like to go back to that pay spot again sometime.
Wow, look at Luna making the moves. Jesus, I am so proud of that girl. Anyway, I'd love to give a very special thank you to my proud donators. Top donator, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, Dresdon, Dospo, RuneScypher9852, CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Ryanny Dragonwolf, Dwight Cornel, Gagi, Secret Moon, Tallrascha, Starlight Glimmer, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Pokekiller Zach, Soul Dragon, Dak Britton, Joe Piercy, and Alex F. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.